Okie dokie. Fill me in on the week.
What?
Fill me in on the week.
So, he was pretty good. Like, it was more about, like, wanting to, adapting him.
Sure.
But he's way better. And, like, the 2 years of walking really good. Like, I think the never, like, totally went out.
Okay, so that you saw like a little bit of an escalation that we were able to stop it.
Like, I knew I had him tight, and then, the moment I thought he could go, then I was like, and
Sure.
he's still, I mean, I don't think I ever had him on before.
Oh, nice. Sure. Kind of think last week was like 12 or something.
It's really
Yeah. Okay. So when you have to like escalate the levels, no higher than 24. So that's good.
Yeah.
And then was it like just a tap or was it like a little bit of a struggle?
No, it wasn't a struggle. And then we would practice like with the like turning. It's just getting him to like stay like this with me.
Sure.
We'd go to the bathroom, and he takes a while to like
Sure.
he's bunched things. And then like when I'd be like, okay, now we're training, you know, and I'd have to turn, tap, turn, tap, turn, tap. Maybe like 5 times or something, and then he would be back on the program. And then it got better and better each day.
Okay, good. So we always want to see decline, you know, in our corrections, a decline.
Okay.
So like with the turns, you know, like let's say every day was like 5 turns. 5 doesn't seem like a lot, but because it's consistently 5 turns every day, like you're not making progress.
Right.
Right.
And it would get better.
Good.
Like, and then even like, even dogs were like they're his friends that he totally loved seeing. Like
Sure.
he would look up at me like, am I allowed? Like,
Sure,
can
that
I
checking in.
play?
Sure.
And then, but he would stay quiet. He would stay right by my side.
Okay, good.
So it definitely like. And then you want to talk to how he was with you?
Same.
Pretty much the same.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Hello.
This is Bill, by the way.
Hi.
Hi, Bill. Hi, puppy.
Same, good. Did you come across any like groups of dogs or anything?
I mean, not as much. We walked them together a bunch, but a few times I was by myself. We ran into the Doberman that doesn't like.
Oh, sure.
And I kind of walked him to the side and let him go by.
Sure.
And he normally would freak out.
Okay.
I mean,
There's
like,
a
I
dog
would never
that-
stay in the area with the Doberman.
Oh,
Like,
sure.
I would like walk away.
There's also a dog that the door's open and he jumps up on the glass. And he normally freaks out and just kind of.
Oh, sure.
Walk
Like the
on.
dog's in the home while you're
Right,
walking.
right.
Yeah, I gotcha. Good. Cool. Feeling good about the progress so far?
Yeah, we get some work to do.
Yeah, sure. So today, unfortunately, because of like the impending rain or whatever, not being able to work outside, but it should. Technically, the environment doesn't matter, but it matters more so for the owner, just because working when like stuff is going on makes it more realistic for you. But training-wise, like whether you're training here, which is not realistic, and training at home, as long as you just go to the appropriate number, there really is no. It doesn't really matter. Okay.
Plus,
So.
like, I mean, this is a lot of dogs for him to be around.
Sure, and we'll get a group going in a little bit. My employees on lunch, so hopefully that distraction will help a bit. But good. Any questions before we get started?
No, I am bummed though that you shake me.
Sure, yeah, that's okay. Like more exposure. So like I have a puppy that on his first day was shaking very crazy, a lot, and then I saw him the second class. He was fine.
Okay.
Okay, but every dog recovers differently. Some take longer than others. You know, when I get reactive dogs like him, like a lot of times it does come from insecurity. Very rarely is it a dog that intends to do harm. It's more so a dog putting out threat, like to scare dogs away because they feel insecure. So that insecurity is coming out right now with all that shaking because of the environment. He knows discipline's going to happen just from the association.
He doesn't associate anything that with putting a collar on. Like we made sure like we kept it really positive. And then like I let him sniff it as much as he wants, like before and after. So I don't think it's the collar that's making it. I think it's that he remembers like what happened here. So
Sure. So
but the collar he's okay with. He really is.
Good. So we're going to get started. We'll start with a quick review. Just have you show me what you've been practicing, just kind of going back and forth.
Okay.
And then we're going to move on to the next step. And then at the end of the class, I'm going to talk to you about addressing the fence reactivity
The patio.
and
Yeah.
patio stuff. And so we can start working on that.
Good.
And then for
I'm
the...
looking forward to it. Some of our neighbors.
Good.
They're like, what? It doesn't seem to be better on the patio. I'm like,
Yeah.
not yet, not yet.
So what we'll do is we'll do that for at the end of today's class. It's fairly simple, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're most likely going to need a little bit of time, maybe a couple of weeks before you have your third class, okay? Because I'm cutting it to address all the important stuff, which was the leash reactivity and of course the patio reactivity. But we just need a couple of weeks so you can practice everything, making sure everything is sticking. So this way when you have that third class, you know, if there's anything that you're struggling with, you've had time to actually practice, have some successes, have some failures, and this way we have some stuff to build on.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
So go ahead and just do a couple of back and forth walking, and then we'll go from there. So here, just walk forward and tap, tap, and do that, tap, put the word, tap, tap. Yeah, yeah. What's your number?
24.
1 second. Yeah, it's on. Go ahead and tap. Tap, tap. There he goes. Attaboy. Good job.
This is the one thing I like to look forward.
Sure, so what do you want to do here?
So I usually tap and turn.
Correct, and keep that arm as relaxed as possible. So just anchor that arm at your side so you're not giving tension back. Tap, tap, there you go, good.
That's good.
Right, good. Keep relaxed. There you go. Good turn. Yeah, keep your arm relaxed. Yeah, yeah, good. Good. Yeah. Good. Keep your arm relaxed. Good. So after a few turns, and then maybe, like you said, about 5 turns, you would end up kind of like walking like this, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's what we want to see. Go ahead and go stop. Yep, that's okay. This one's swap handlers.
Okay.
Your arm relaxed. There you go. Good. 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 Just a couple more turns. Good. There you go. Good. Good. Nice, relaxed. There you go. Good. Very good. Go ahead and go stop. All right, excellent. Good, good, good. So just a couple of things, very common stuff that I always see. In the beginning when you first started, and you started to forge a bit, and you did more pulling, and then you pointed out like he does this, right? So anytime Sheffield gets ahead of you, you will always, if possible, turn and tap. Okay, that is a forever fix. I don't like the dog head to tap, make them come back, because that becomes a forever problem. It's easier to do, but then you're constantly getting this back and forth motion. The turnaround, you're telling Sheffield, hey buddy, wrong way, and then he sees you going the opposite way. Oh, I should be paying attention because they switched up the path. Okay. The only time I do the tap to get the dog to come back is if like maybe there's a bunch of people behind you or a dog behind you, you can't do that pivot. That's fine because you just don't have the capacity to do that. Or I might step aside, let them pass, and then start walking, and the dog forward, and then I turn the tap. Now I have space. Or like if we're walking with a friend with their dog, a lot of times the dogs will forge because it's, you know, to another dog and another person, so it kind of throws things off. In that sense, that you can do it there as well, where you just tap together to come back, but chances are you're going to need a much higher number. Okay? So you have to override the excitement of the situation. The other thing was on the turns, both of you are doing this. Right? When you're getting ready to turn Sheffield, you're doing this with your arm and then turning. And what happens is you're trying to physically turn it with you, and he should be turning with you just on his own. This pulling will actually cause him to pull away from you. So then you're creating a problem of, instead of moving with you, he's going to want to move away from you. Okay? Because of opposite reflex, which means he feels the pressure, he wants to go against it. So if you pull this way, he pulls that way. So always want to be nice and relaxed. Otherwise, when you did those turns with Sheffield, it was perfectly fine. Okay?
Yeah.
So all that looked good. Any questions?
It is a big change too, because remember, we always had the harness, so this is the first week that he's been in collar.
Sure.
So that was like another,
And getting used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're used to having to use that arm to physically restrain them. And it's all about mental control, not physical control. Okay? So this is all good. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and add the formal word cue, word heel, as the cue to tell Sheffield that now he's clocked in. Okay? So this past week, you weren't saying anything, you would just start tapping once you were ready for him to walk with you. And then, I can't remember, I used the word break. Did you guys have a different? Use break. Okay, so break was recently, right? So now you're going to have both the on switch and the off switch, okay? So what we're going to do here is you're going to cue the word heel first, and then you're going to move forward with your left leg first, okay? So it's going to be heel, then you're going to start walking with that left leg, you'll walk around for a bit, slow down to a turn, come to a stop, and we're going to work on Sheffield's auto sits, okay? So for heel means walk with me, stay with me, sit when I stop. And we want to train it as an automatic response. The only exception to the sitting or the auto sit with the heel is if the weather isn't good. Like if it's raining or if it's really cold and snow comes, people don't want their dogs to get all wet and muddy and all that stuff, or the dog is uncomfortable, then I don't worry about reinforcing it unless there's issues with reactivity. Okay? So sometimes I told the owner, don't worry about the auto sits, you know, as long as the dog is behaving, you're good. And they'll say the dog's being reactive, and then I'll say, well, it sucks, we have to reinforce the auto sit. So the dog's butt's gonna be cold and it's gonna be wet and muddy, but it's either that or the dog is reactive. Okay, so you can't have both sometimes. But otherwise, only when the weather's permitting, it's nice out, though I care about the auto sits if it's raining or it's snowing, too cold, I personally don't care, as long as he's behaving himself. Because that's the most important thing here, okay? The obedience that we're doing is simply the foundation for Sheffield, but I care more so about his behavior, so as long as he's being a good boy, we're not seeing that reactivity stuff, then I don't really care if he sits or not, okay? So, to do the opposite, what we're gonna do here is, I'm gonna have you go to just bring that leash over to your right hand with your remote. Yeah, you keep the remote in your right hand as well. And you're gonna pull up on your leash, and you're gonna lightly press down on his butt. Sit. And phrase. There you go. So we're not gonna say sit. Because if you say sit, then you always have to say sit. So then technically, if you don't say sit, he doesn't have to do anything, and we want this to be a default response. Okay, so what we're gonna do is you're gonna cue the word heel, you're gonna walk with Sheffield. Yep, forward. Yep. 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 There he goes. Yeah, boy. Go ahead and turn to your right. Tap forward. Tap forward. Yep. Good. And slow down to stop. Good. And you're going to short release with that right hand. Yep. I think press down on your butt. Yep. 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 And then here, I'll pull up on that leash. Yeah. So up on the collar, down his butt. That's easier. So then freeze up your left hand, push down, and you'll keep constant pressure. Tap, tap, and pull up with the leash. Yeah, there you go. Shuffle on it. There you go. You got it. And now you're going to go almost. Yep. So more down. If you're putting tension back, here, try. Yep. Okay. Is choke up. So I like to be higher up because if you're like this, then you're like this, right? So if I'm here, it's simply here, light pressure up, light pressure down. Yep. 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 Yeah, boy. As soon as that butt goes down, everything goes away. Yep. Yep. Up. Down. Yep. Oh, look at that. That's boy. It's a good job. Try one more. Yep. Dip it. Dip it. Dip it. Dip it. Dip it. Dip it. Good. So it's continuous pressure. And what I did was I kind of pressed, squeezed and pressed, but this was consistently going down while this was staying up and tapping until I felt it go into it. The moment I felt the body go into that sit, everything stops. Okay? Right, remember toward that leash. You want to keep that pressure down the hindquarters continuous as you, there you go, now great, attaboy. Good job. Let's do that 4 more times.
Always on the turn.
Just after a stop. There you go, and praise, attaboy. Good. Good. Couple more. Feel. Good. One more. Feel. Good. Good. And praise. Let's go ahead and swap handers. Good.
Boy. Yep.
Good. And do a couple more. Good. Last one. Good. So what we're going to do here is we're going to repeat that same pattern, but instead of pushing down on his butt, you're only going to pull up on the collar and tap. Okay, to see if he'll respond to the tension going up with the tap, okay? Now, if he starts to sit by himself, You don't do anything, just praise him once he does it, because we're trying to teach him to do it on his own. That's why we're kicking in with the tapping and the pressure, because then he thinks, like, every time I stop, this happens, so what happens if I just do it by myself? Nothing happens. Okay?
Heel.
Tap. Keep that pressure up. You want to keep that consistent, right? Tap, tap, tap. Keep it up, tap, tap. Now what you're going to do is, as you're tapping, hand that leash to your right hand, and keep it, yeah, tap, tap. There we go. We're going to try that a few more times. Heel. Tap. Yeah, there you go. Good. And praise. Attaboy. Good job.
Heel.
Tap. Tap. So what you're doing here, tap, is you're bobbing. You went like this.
Right.
Okay. So when you pull that hand up, and it stays there, so the moment he feels this, you leave it. Okay. Now, if he doesn't respond, then you go here with your opposite hand, right? But you keep that tension up, and then you add the hand if needed. So we're trying. It's like training wheels. You know, we have the pressure on the hindquarters, pressure on the e-collar, on the back collar, and the pressure on the e-collar. So we took off the hindquarter one to see if he'll do it with the other two. And eventually, if he doesn't sit, I just give a tap, and he's he goes like this. Okay. So we're gradually removing the training wheels. So we'll try that again.
Heel.
And then up, keep that up, tap, 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 tap. There you go, and praise. Attaboy. Let's try a couple more. Yep, keep forward, keep forward. So if he doesn't move, just tap. Good, there you go, now praise. Attaboy. Let's try one more. There you go. Good. Let's try 3 more to see if he'll give us more of those auto sits. Now the next one, don't do anything. Just come to a stop and let's see what happens. Heel.
Heel.
Tap forward, tap forward. There you go. Good. One more. Mm-hmm. Heel. Good. Let me have you, you're going to do heel, you're going to go into a turn, go down, then turn, and like stop somewhere in the middle, okay?
Heel.
Uh-huh. Right there. Very good.
Good boy.
So, in the beginning, we have to help him go through the process and think of what to do. And that's where that physical pressure comes into play. Because he's not going to just know from the e-collar alone what he's supposed to do. Okay? So, when we pair that e-collar with the leash pressure, and we just keep repeating, eventually he assumes that, oh, we just keep doing this every time I stop. Boom. Nothing happens. Great. That's what I have to do. So, if he doesn't auto sit, you can either use the leash pressure up, pressure the calf, or if it's something like that, you can use the hand pressure as well. But you're just adding in as a reminder, trying to be as consistent as possible. Okay, so all that was good. We also want to remember that once you start walking, feel doing that left leg. A few times with both of you, you sat the dog down, headed up, and then you started walking, but didn't say anything. Okay, so we want to make sure we're very black and white with that. Choose the word heel. If he doesn't move with you, no biggie. Tap as you move forward. Don't step back to him. Okay? Because now that we're adding pressure for the sit, he's thinking, oh, well, if you put my butt down, maybe I'm not supposed to move. And that's why he's being a little apprehensive on the heel, because now we're putting him in a stationary position. Okay. Questions on that? Alrighty. So the next thing that we're going to cover are turns. Before we come to a stop, before we come to a turn, remember what we want to always do. So this is, that's when you're turning, right? When you're not paying attention, we do always turn and tap. But if we're coming to a stop, or coming to do a turn, and he's doing great, he's walking next to you, technically no reason to tap. What do you want to do before that stop or turn?
I don't know.
What do you do when you drive? When you stop or turn?
Brake.
Which does what?
Slow down.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we want to remember to slow down. Because Sheffield here will never know, you know, like he's not psychic, he's not going to predict what it is you're doing. You have to communicate with him. Just like with driving, right? You turn on your blinker, you pump your brakes. Pumping your brakes lets the person behind you know I'm slowing down, perhaps to a complete stop, or I'm getting ready for a turn, right? So we want to do the same thing for Sheffield here. If you want to slow down to cue that something's changing, whether we're coming to a stop or we may start turning, okay? So slow down is important. At least 3 steps, more is perfectly fine, okay? So if you're walking with Sheffield, he's doing good by walking with you, and you slow down, what should we do?
You should slow down too.
Yeah, you should slow down, right? You should follow your lead. So if he's slowing down, that means he's paying attention. Good job. If you slow down and he doesn't slow down, it means he's not paying attention. So he's getting ahead of you. So then what would we do?
Then
Back.
tap and turn.
Tap and turn, exactly. Okay? Because you did your job, right? You slowed down. Hey, buddy, something's changing. And he just was distracted, kept going. You want to correctly get him on track. Okay? And again, that is a forever thing. Over the course of time, it's become less and less and less, and be very consistent. Maybe every once, 6 months or something, he kind of gets distracted and you correct him one time. But you never feel like, man, I'm always having to turn with Sheffield because he's not paying attention. Okay?
Yeah.
So, for the turns here, there's 2 turns in particular that are difficult for people, so those are the ones I always cover. We have what we call our crossover turn. And that's when we're going to be crossing over Sheffield, moving to the left. And then we have our pivot, okay, which is the turn you've technically been doing. But this pivot is for when Sheffield is actually paying attention, okay? So when we do the crossover turns, we want to lead the turn going left with your right leg, okay? So the way it's going to look, I'll do it, move it this way for you, is turn. Very good. Is when we're doing this turn, you're to the word heel, left leg, right, you're walking, you slow down, again, at least 3 steps, and then you're going to cut from Sheffield at a 90-degree angle with that right leg. Okay, very pronounced step. People tend to do a baby step. If you do a baby step, you end up kicking out with your left leg, and you're either going to trip over Sheffield or you're going to kick him out. Okay, so very pronounced 90-degree turn with that right leg. Then the left leg, you're going to cut in again, that right leg at a 90-degree angle, and you're going the opposite way now. So if I keep doing that, I should stay within the path. So if you're on a normal sidewalk, if you're doing this turn, you shouldn't end up on the street. You should actually stay within the sidewalk. Okay? So if you find that happening, we're doing something incorrectly. For the pivot, when Sheffield is getting ahead of you, you will always just do this and tap to get him to come back to your side. Okay? If you're walking, and you're going to make a pivot, you're going to extend your left leg, step back on the right leg, and then go the left leg like this. Okay? And people don't actually do this left, right, left. But then when it comes to doing it on purpose, they tend to think too much and screw it up. So it's just left, right, left. Okay? And by doing these things, you're using body language to cue to Sheffield what it is you're doing. There should technically be no need for a remote if he's paying attention. Okay? So again, if we're turning left, slow down. Cut with the right leg, then left leg. If we're making a new 180 pivot, it's going to be left, right, left. Now we're going the opposite way. Okay? Questions? All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to start with the crossover turns because those are the hardest.
Okay.
And I'll coach you through it. So you're going to go to the heel, and you're going to just move straight back towards the wall. Relax that arm. Now you're going to slow your pace. You're going to get ready to cross that right leg, right. Yep, you're going left, right. That's fine. Keep going. That's fine.
Trying to sit though.
Yeah, it's okay. It happens all the time. Okay, so then you're going to slow down. Right, left. So you see how that was an issue?
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Because they didn't accept enough.
You didn't slow down.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let's try again. Heel. Slow down. You're ready for that left, right? So here, turn to your right. Tap forward. Towards this way. Yeah, the correctional turn. There you go. Turn again to your right. The correctional turn. Tap. There you go. Now, there you go. Now you're going to try the left turn again. You slow down. Right, left, right. There you go. You're going to slow down. You're going to get ready for it. Right, left, right. Good. Try it again. Get ready for the turn. Right, left, right. That's fine. Correct, below. Right, left, right. Power through. You got it. We're going to do a couple more. Right, left, right. Good. One more. Slow. Right, left, right. Good. Right, left, right. And then slowly stop. Good. So some of those look really smooth and a couple feel kind of awkward. The last one, the second to last one that felt kind of awkward, do you know why it was?
I don't think I'm taking a big enough step.
No. She did slow down, but he actually kept going further. So that's when you would go into the pivot to correct it. So what happened was he was actually a little bit ahead of you, so you had to kind of compensate to bump him out of the way. That's why it felt awkward. Okay? So we're going to try those again. So even though your intention is to turn left, if Sheffield is not in line, you're going to always pivot and tap to bring him back in line and then try again. Okay? Whenever you're ready.
Heel.
Left leg.
Oh.
Right, left, right. So see how that was awkward?
Yeah.
So that was technically a pivot correction.
Okay.
That was better. Good. Good. Go and slow down, don't stop. Excellent. Very good. Those are all good. Now we're going to work on those 180 pivots. Okay? So remember to slow down, and that's going to be left, right, left. Okay? Left leg.
Left leg.
Left, right, left. Good job. Hold your left tap. There you go. Good. Left, right, left. Good. Good. So you kind of doing it's technically working, but you're doing something different here. So you're going, so stand next to Sheffield.
She should lead with her left foot.
Yeah, you flipped it. It was technically working, but you flipped it. So forward left,
Heel.
back on your right. So stand still. Forward left, Back on right,
Oh.
forward left. Yeah, and you were doing forward right, but you were technically doing it right, just wrong foot.
Okay.
Left, right, left. There you go. Try 2 more like that. Yep, good. Last one. And then slow to a stop. So the reason why that's important is because for Sheffield, with his visual range, he sees that left foot, and from the get-go, he was just curving like you. We've not done anything to teach that. He just naturally did that. Because what we did last week was teach Sheffield, pay attention to me. Okay? That's what we taught him. Every time he turned, we were telling him, pay attention. No, wrong way, pay attention. Now today, we're working on your part, which is to communicate to him what it is that you're doing. Because again, you know what you're doing, he does not. So we want to make sure you always slow down before we come to that stop. That gives him time to see what you're doing. Okay, cool, great. And if you slow down and you're turning left, leading that right leg, because if you lead with the left leg, you'll punch him out. And then with the 180 turns and lead that left leg, because he has a visually, you can see that, which allows him to go, oh, we're going the opposite way. Okay? So it's like dancing. In dancing, there's a leader and a follower. If the person is a very experienced dancer and leads really well, they can make an inexperienced dancer look good because they know how to lead. Okay? Same thing for dogs. Questions on that?
No.
All right, just want to swap handlers. Okay?
Here,
And you're start with this crossovers, okay? Leading with that right leg.
turn it to the right.
Correct. So it can be right, left, right. There you go. Keep your arm nice and relaxed. Left, right. Okay. Going to come to a stop. Do we know what we're forgetting here?
Slow it down.
Yes. So remember, slow down. We're going to try that again. Left turns, but making sure to slow down prior. Keep your arm relaxed. Keep your arm relaxed. There you go. Slow. Keep that arm nice and relaxed. No pressure. Go ahead and give him some more slack here. Give him more slack. There you
You
go.
have to sit down at every turn.
Yeah, he'll get it. Right now, he's still learning. Right, left, right. So you see how your left arm keeps going backwards?
Yeah.
So again, that's going to work against you in the long run. The other thing is on that last turn, he technically was forging. That's why he started to do this. Because you're recognizing it. You're seeing that he's forging. But instead of doing like, oh, I need to do this instead, you're going into, this is what I've done in the past. Okay? So we're going to try it a couple more times. Then we're going to work on the pivots. Then we're going to talk about potential reactivity. Okay?
Here.
Go ahead. Couple more. Right, keep that arm relaxed. Keep it relaxed. You have to duct tape it down or something. Right, left. Yeah, sharpen on that right. That was a better turn, Daryl. Big cut on that right. Right, left, right. Good. And then slow down to a stop. Good. And up on your leash. Cap. Yeah, there you go. Boy, good job. Now we're going to work on those pivots. Easiest turn. That's going to be just left, right, left. Okay?
Yep.
All right. Left, good. Keep your arm nice and relaxed. So going to slow down to a stop. Good. Yep. Good job. So what you did there was a rounded left. Okay? You did essentially a left turn, but going the right way. You went like this. You went
Okay.
rounded, and you
I
wanted to,
went the wrong foot.
yeah, no, you did the correct way. You just walked out.
Okay.
And you want to make a straight line of left, right. Okay? Yep. Left. There you go. right, left. Left, right, left's better.
Shift your weight to the back.
Left, right, left. We'll do one more. And then slow down, we'll stop. So let's try this. You're doing better, but you're still grounded. And the reason why I'm calling this out now is because I know the next time I see you, you're going to be doing this again. Okay? So you're going to go forward, left. Hold on. So, I'm going to push it. So forward, left. Back on right. Forward, left. There you go. Much better. Yep.
Pivot.
Heel.
There you go. Good. Much better. Yep. Keep forward. Relax that arm. Good. There you go. Much better. Good. Couple more. Pull to your left. Yeah. Good. Good. Two more. Last one. Good. And then slow down to a stop when you're ready. Very good. So, it's awkward, right? Because this really doesn't ever matter unless you're walking with your dog. But it's super important when you are walking with Sheffield that you do this. Otherwise, give it a couple of weeks and then you're going to be complaining that he's not turning to you. But it's most likely because you're not doing something correctly. Okay? So there's two parts of the heel. His part, pay attention. Okay? Your part, to reinforce that he's paying attention, but then also to communicate clearly what it is you're doing, slowing down before those turns, slowing down before those stops, cueing that left turn with the right leg, cueing the pivots with the left leg. Okay? What I suggest in the beginning, go for a walk, let him do his business or whatever, go into a heel, stop, power sit, heel, right? Repeat that 5 times. Then go into heel to crossover turns, and then go into heel to pivots. So you're going to be covering a little bit of space like this, where you're just warming up, okay, getting the muscle memory. Then start to go on. The hardest part of this stuff is actually applying it, where it's you're walking, oh, there's a stop sign, I'm going to turn left. Right? And now you have to time your motion, just slowing down, the legs, all that fluid, and not throwing him off. Okay? Almost always, when a client complains that their dog's not paying attention, it's because they're not slowing down. Okay? Almost always. If the dog, if they are slowing down, the dog's not paying attention, then the problem is with the too low on the e-collar. Okay? So it's usually one of those problems. Be very mindful of that left arm because you will create a pulling dog again. So e-collar is saying don't pull. You pulling the leash is telling him to pull. Now you have conflicting messages. And he will listen to the leash because that's natural to him. Dogs are physical animals. The leash pressure is more natural than the e-collar. So if you do that, you're going to get a pulling dog again. Okay? So questions about any of this stuff?
Practice.
Yeah, just practice. Okay, practice and apply. So, fence reactivity. Fence reactivity, and then there's reactivity in the home, right? Like at the back screen or something?
The front screen, if he's inside the house, he's barking at anything that passes, and then when he's on the patio, he's going bananas.
Okay, so when we go into correcting behavior, there's two ways to think of it. You want to think about, do I want to eliminate this, or do I want to control this? Okay? When you want to eliminate something, that means you don't want to see it again, period. When you want to control something, it's, hey, it's not that I don't like that, but it's just, I need you to stop when I say so. Okay? So, let's say for the patio, for example, you don't want it, period. You would just correct it. You wouldn't say anything. So the moment he looks like he's going to bark, starts charging to bark, or is barking, you simply just remote him, and I'll remote him at your obedience level. Okay, so it's been 12 or 24 for the day, you use whatever number you're working with. What you should see is when you tap him, just like with the reactivity, he should disengage, back away, or move away from whatever it is he's barking at. You want him to disengage and move away from it, okay? Let's say barking in the home, because it has to do with the home. Maybe you don't want to eliminate that. Maybe you like that because that's security. If that's the case, then you wouldn't just remote it, you would want to control it with a cue. So use the word quiet, no bark, whatever word you want to use, so that he knows, okay, I can bark outside the back door. I just have to stop when you say so. Does that make sense? So like, let's say you're in the back of the house, he's in the front, he starts barking because no one's there to tell him to stop. That's technically correct. That's technically fine, right? But that's, again, security. If you don't like that and you want him to stop both of those behaviors, period, then anytime he starts barking, you simply just correct it, no warning, no cue. Okay? So the way a dog's brain works is they can technically do something until you tell them not to. So if a dog jumps on you and you say off, technically they can jump on you until you say off. Okay, so then it's a constant problem. Whereas I don't want the dog to not jump on me, period. So then anytime the dog jumps, I simply correct it. I never say anything. The dog learns, okay, I don't put my paws on you. Okay? So what I suggest is you think of like maybe write down a list of things that Sheffield does that you want to stop or eliminate or control. Categorize them. And then, you can use the word no, if you want to make that universal for things or whatever, and just be consistent with cueing the word and then following through with the e-collar until he stops the behavior. Okay? Now, let's say you use the word quiet. He's barking at like a person walking by that he doesn't know, and you say quiet, and you remote him and he stops. But then 2 minutes later, maybe that Doberman walks out. He starts barking again. Well, that's now a new context. Does that make sense? He's barking at something different now that you have to keep quiet again and then correct it. So just keep that in mind. So it's not quiet to be quiet for the next 30 minutes.
I think we want to eliminate all the barking at the front windows. So.
Okay, sure. Then that makes it easy. Okay. Now let's say he doesn't have his e-collar on, because I wouldn't expect him to have it on all the time in the home. Is what I suggest you use is a bonker. Okay, it's just a rolled up towel. You take rubber bands or headbands to keep it shaped so it's a cylinder-like object. It's firm but soft. Okay, and I'm gonna send you 3 videos: how to make one, how to use one, and one of a trainer actively using the bonker, so you can see just how forceful he is when he does that correction. Okay, in order to make it mean something, it has to be firm. Okay, otherwise you can say the word quiet, try to bonk him, and he's just gonna keep barking. Okay, and this is the one part that people struggle with, because it's now you physically correcting him, and we no longer have that kind of disassociation with the button. Okay, so when he's outside on the patio, he's got the collar on, you tap him, easy peasy. When he's in the home, you can use the bunker. Okay, questions on any of this?
I think so, like when you have a patio, like he has the collar on all the time when you have a patio, but inside, like consistently is the collar on and it's outside, and then on inside.
Correct, right? Because going back to last week, when does the collar go away, right? And I was like, well, it's like a cop. If there's no cops around, he's going to just do what he wants, and then if the cops are around, he's going to behave himself. If he's going to be outside with the collar on for any period of time longer than 2 hours, you want to rotate that collar. Okay? Expect that it might be a little bit more difficult to correct him if he's outside and you're inside, because technically if he's outside unattended, it's technically his job. Like he's just like, all right, no one's out here, so I'm gonna just protect the home. So don't be surprised if you go higher than that 24 in certain situations, because you're going against what's very natural to him. Okay, technically not wrong, but you can actually have any rule that you want. Make sure you be consistent with it. Okay? Other questions?
If we were at dog park, like he was in that kind of thing, right now he do bark at home.
Like within the dog park or on the outside?
I think if he's on the inside, he barks like, pay attention to me. Like,
Oh, the other dog?
Yeah.
Sure. And I mean, if that's something that annoys you, you can taper it down. I just go lower on the collar, because you're not trying to eliminate the play. You're just saying like, hey bud, like you can play, but don't yell. So then I go down to 10, 12, and I slowly escalate it as needed, and every time he barks, I just give a tap. And what you'll see is he'll run around and stuff, but he just won't have so much vocalization. Okay? And then that would be something you want to just tap without saying anything, because you're trying to eliminate the behavior. Otherwise, you're going to be yelling quiet, 100 times while you're at the dog park. Okay? Other questions?
With the bumper, how does that work? Like you just tap his butt or what?
Wherever, head, butt, body, it's just a roll of towel. In the video, you'll see the trainer using it. He actually whacks the dog on top of the head. He does it very firm, and it's a small little puppy, you know. But he talks about it, and you see the puppy come back, and the puppy looks very apprehensive. But that's actually what we're wanting to see, because that's what makes the correction so effective and makes it resonate. People tend to be too soft. And then you're constantly having to do something, then it's frustrating. And then now you're getting frustrated with your dog, and those corrections tend to be unhealthy corrections that are coming out of frustration, as opposed to just don't do that. Okay? So I'll send you those videos that kind of for you to watch, and it'll really clear up how you use it. Okay? Other questions? Good. So all this looked good. His heel looked good. Just the standard, just practicing, remembering to pivot when he's not paying attention, and tap, of course. Making sure to slow down before those turns, slowing down before those stops, making sure not to use that left arm, pulling back. All super common things that people struggle with. And I would give a couple of weeks, again, to practice these things, apply it, apply the patio stuff, apply the in-home stuff. You're more than welcome to take more time. I suggest at least 2 weeks, okay, before I see you for the final class. If everything's going good and you're great with all that stuff, I'm more than happy to teach something new. Just think about what you want to learn. Otherwise, I think it's good. Okay? Anything else?
No.
Awesome.
I can actually take some notes though. Do you have?
These are supposed to be right there in the car.
So I actually,
Like even in the years or?
so here, we actually use you go inside like this.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, so just underneath the jaw, right here. It should hold here, or on the other side, same spot, like here. Okay? If you place it here and you see it keeps going down to the bottom of the neck, and it's not tight enough, so what happens is you're in the middle of pressure force on the bottom of that neck. So you keep going down to that same spot. Okay?